Hey guys, welcome to the Touchdown Table. I'm Ryan, that's Tyler, that's Jordan, and this video marks the beginning of our deep dive series for the 2020 to 2021 NFL season. If you were a follower of our channel and a subscriber from the beginning, you probably remember some of our deep dives from last year, we're starting that again now that the draft and free agency are mostly over with. And our first team that we're going to look at is the Baltimore Ravens. So we're going to be breaking them down, talking about their draft, their offseason, their outlook for this year. Who'd like to start?
Well, I guess we could just kind of go around, but I'll start. So we'll start with their draft, I guess, because that is something you said. And they had a particularly good draft. Maybe Ryan, for some reason, didn't like their first pick. If you watch our draft grades video on whatever it was, 26 through 32, Ryan did not really like pick 28, which was Patrick Queen, which was a steal for where a lot of people had him, the linebacker out of LSU. But that's a different story. So that was their first pick. Next pick, they got running back J.K. Dobbins, have Mark Ingram, but are making that backfield so much better. It's such a running team in Lamar Jackson. Yes, he can throw the ball, but the Ravens' offense is revolved around the run game, so they're getting another great weapon, a guy that is reminiscent of a bowling ball, putting him into the backfield. Hopefully he'll get a lot of carries, a lot of split carries with Mark Ingram. That should be a phenomenal backfield. And then they got a steal in the third round, Justin Madubuike. I thought this guy should have gone in the second round. He fell later, so that's a great value pick. Then they went wide receiver Devin Duvernay, helping out Lamar Jackson, giving him a few more weapons.
And James Prochet from SMU.
Yeah, that's a pick I really like.
Yeah, that was later in the draft. That was round 6. And then some other guys, I won't talk about them as much. Malik Harrison, linebacker out of Ohio State.
That was a good pick as well.
That was also a good pick, a good value pick.
So many good
picks. That was in the third round. And then another third round pick, Tyree Phillips, tackle out of Mississippi State, helping in that run game. Then Ben Bredesen out of Michigan, the guard, to help that run game. Broderick Washington, the defensive tackle. This to solidify that interior defensive line. We talked about James Prochet out of SMU, getting another great wide receiver to help, and this was a good value pick as he went in the 6th round. And then someone that I really like, Geno Stone, in the 7th round out of Iowa. He's a safety. This is someone that I really like. I think that's a great value pick for them. And I'm just going to say it, they might be using Geno Stone this year because of some things that are going on with the Ravens.
No, I mean, I was thinking maybe we could just skim over that part of it.
I had to say it.
But
I mean,
if you heard me laugh in the beginning of this video, it's because I pulled up the Ravens roster and I saw him on here and I just couldn't help.
Earl Thomas, we wish the best for you. Let's just get it out there.
Yeah, hopefully that all gets sorted out.
He's had some tough moments in his career.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, you're right. With the flipping off in Seattle with his way out, and then now this. But let's get to the roster. More guys that are veterans. Obviously, they have the reigning MVP Lamar Jackson. Jordan, you talked about one of your favorite guys, Mark Ingram. Marquise Brown. Something I want to talk about. Stop here. No, something I want to talk about him is I saw something that said he was barely able to walk last year. I don't know if you guys saw that. But that's, I think, a quote that he said. And he's known as a speedy guy. I thought he was still speedy. So if that was true, then we could see a phenomenal second year from him.
Yeah, and you look at that offense, you get him in there, and I liked the 2 receivers they drafted. But they also did draft J.K. Dobbins as well, as we touched on earlier. So I'm interested to see they invested in wide receivers and in a running back at a point in the draft. They took the running back high. He was their second pick. I thought Dobbins was a steal. He was the second running back on my board. But I think it's interesting to see what type of offense the Ravens are going to try and run because they invested in their passing game and also in the running game as well this offseason. So I wonder if we're going to see a run-first offense or a pass-first offense.
Yeah, and Lamar Jackson, he said it himself before. He said that he is not a running back. He is a quarterback, despite what people said. And if I could say the exact quote, not bad for a running back.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
So I just had to give the quote from Lamar Jackson week 1 of last year after he came out and had a great game throwing with his arm. So he did show that he can throw the ball and also, obviously, show that he can run the ball, which was a huge part to him winning the MVP award. So it will be interesting to see what they do with all of that. But their offense has a lot of weapons on it now, and so does their
Yeah.
defense. So this is
That's
a
what I
team.
wanted to get to.
This is a team that looks very complete on paper, and we saw it last year. They were a good team. Not only was their offense very great, had the MVP quarterback Lamar Jackson, had some other great weapons. We talk about Marquise Brown, Mark Ingram, some of the other guys as well on that team. The great tight ends on that team. Mark Andrews, the headliner of them, but other great tight ends as well on that team. I think they actually traded one away.
They traded Hurst to the Falcons.
Yeah,
that's smart. They didn't need all the tight ends they had
and
there.
I'm blanking on the other one's name. I'll find it in a second. But they are a team that is very, very complete. And if Lamar Jackson can put it together again, have another great season, if teams don't figure out how to stop him in the run game, I think this is a team that could be very, very dangerous. Ryan, I mentioned the name Lamar Jackson. I'd like you to go on maybe a bit of a rant about Lamar Jackson, because I know you have your opinions on that.
Well, I do. And first of all, I'd like to start off and say that Lamar had an outstanding year last year. He deserved every bit of that MVP award. But my concerns and my skepticism of him and his career really as a whole is just one word, longevity. I think that, he has his skill set, but I think that quarterbacks with his skill set that are running and moving and getting hit every other play, I just don't know how long he's going to last and how long he's going to be able to keep that up. I truthfully think he's going to start to decline as soon as this year. And that's just because I think, yes, last year he was such a new type of quarterback. Teams didn't have much tape on him. It was quote, a new era, if you will, if you know what I mean, in Baltimore. But I just think that with guys like him, and we've seen this before with this whole mobile quarterback thing that's going to revolutionize the game and they're out of the league in 3 years. But I just think that he's due to decline because I think teams are going to figure him out, and I think he's going to take hits, and those hits add up. And with mobile quarterbacks, you're leaving the pocket every play. If you've been watching our channel for a while, you know that I've kind of prefer pocket passers. That's kind of bet, and you can probably see that through my draft rankings and through the way I just talk about various quarterbacks in general. I like people that stay in the pocket, don't overdo it, just do your job, take what the defense gives you. Look, the very fact that he won the MVP shows that what he did can work, but I just have concerns about longevity. If in my humble opinion, I really think that in 3 years, Lamar Jackson will be a name where oh yeah, I remember that one good year he had where he won the MVP. I really think that the 2019 Ravens, I think they were a 1 year wonder because I think Lamar Jackson's going to decline just because of the way he plays. I think it takes a physical toll on his body, and I think that the way he plays, I think teams are going to catch up to as teams have catched up to the mobile quarterback in the past. And honestly, I think that there's some other teams in the AFC, and even within that division, that could be getting better and giving up some competition. So that's my 3-part Lamar Jackson Ravens demise theory.
And I said something to kind of counter argument what you just said. You did talk about how he does take a lot of hits, which is absolutely true. But he's kind of used to it at this point. All through college, he was known for being a mobile quarterback. He's doing it in the NFL, and he has more of a running back body, I guess you can say. Some of these quarterbacks like Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, they're maybe not as much of running backs as Lamar Jackson is.
But those are the ones that have been playing for 20 years. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but they're not as fit to run the ball as well. They don't have the bodies to do it. But we're talking there's running backs in the NFL that take a bunch of hits and they can stay healthy a season. So it was just a counter argument that Lamar Jackson has been taking hits for a long time, and I think that although you might be right, there's a point in his career when he gets as old as the guys I just mentioned, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, etc., that his body won't be able to take it anymore. He's not going to be as fast, and that's going to be tough for him when he has to do it with just his arm at that point. But while he's young, while he still has the speed, I think he'll be a successful quarterback, at least for this Ravens offense, if they design it around him, which is exactly what they should have done. This is why Greg Roman won Assistant Coach of the Year. Yeah. That's why Harbaugh won.
That's what you got to do in the NFL.
The head coach of the year, even though
he didn't deserve
probably
that.
Shouldn't have.
That was they messed up on several of the awards, but yeah, that was no disrespect to John, but that was bad.
Yeah. But the Greg Roman one, that was a really good award. He really deserved that. He revolutionized that Ravens offense. And we talk about Joe Brady with LSU, what he did with them. Greg Roman, similar to what he did to what Joe Brady did with the Tigers of LSU.
Go Tigers!
Yeah. Greg Roman did earlier with the Ravens. Just wanted to make that comparison because they're both two great offensive minds who build their team around the quarterback.
Yeah, I do just want to say one last thing about Lamar Jackson. I see both of your points, Ryan. You're saying there could be a decline. Defense can start to catch on, and I think you're right about that. I don't know if it's a steep decline like what we saw with RG3, who's also on this team, by the way.
Yeah.
But I think it's more of a gradual thing, like Jordan says, as he starts to take more and more hits, the body starts to slow down. I don't know if we see any years in his career like the one he just had, but I still think this team will be pretty good. And now I want to move on to the defense because I'm looking at their defensive players and especially their front seven. They're definitely in the race for the top front seven of the league. They signed Justin Madubuike in the third round, like Jordan said. They traded for Calais Campbell.
Love that move
Yeah,
there.
that was great. Matt Judon from Grand Valley State. Anchor Up. My older brother goes there, so I wanted to shout out that. Derek Wolfe they also got as well. That's one that's forgotten about. Jalen Ferguson. And then Patrick Queen and Malik Harrison at the linebacker position. We could go into the secondary later, but let's just talk about that right now.
And those are so many great names around the NFL that you just know if you watch the NFL. Maybe if you're not someone who is always watching the NFL, you might not know all these names, but there's some people like Calais Campbell that you might know the names of. Just had to talk like him for a second. But it's such a great pass rushing defense now. Oh, they could maybe use a few more edge rushers. That's why they got Derek Wolfe.
They have a bunch of edge
do.
rushers.
They do.
Tackles is something that they might need a little bit more of.
Well, yeah. That's also true. And they also use the linebackers as edge rushers, too, like Judon.
Yeah.
Who I am a huge fan of, by
Patrick
the way.
Queen, though, is not much of a
And
rusher
no.
as much as he is. That's a secondary type thing.
Yeah. But they need that, so that's good. That was a great pick for them. That's why it should not have been a C, is what Ryan graded it.
He gave it a C+.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I went...
I give it an A+. He gave it a C+.
Hey, yeah. Yeah, that was an interesting video, our last draft grade video. So go watch that one after this one if you haven't already.
Yeah,
I was pretty harsh in that one, but hey, I'm gonna speak from my mind. I'm gonna say what I think.
Yeah. So we talked about the front seven. I think it is so great. But something else about this team, it's not just the front seven. If you look at Oklahoma last year, their defense was basically consisted of Kenneth Murray, Neville Gallimore in the front seven, basically. But then their secondary was pretty awful. Just wanted to make that shout out to the Sooners in this video.
Boomer Sooner.
So you have to have secondary and front seven all together. And the Ravens, they really do. They have a great secondary as well. Have so many studs.
Yeah, I got a list of guys I can name off for that.
Well, list them off, bud.
All right, we'll do that. All right, so Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Peters. We talked about Patrick Queen earlier. That could be another one you could add on to that. Earl Thomas. Guys like that. There's obviously more under the radar guys there as well, but those are all top tier players that I just talked about. All in the same secondary, and I really think it's gonna be tough to get past this Ravens defense this year.
Yeah, and I want to say I know I'm kind of have a lot of unpopular opinions on the Ravens. I know I'm lower on them than most, but I do want to say I'll give them credit where credit's due. I think that secondary and that back end of their defense is awesome. So I do want to say some good things about them too.
Mm-hmm. And Marlon Humphrey, a guy who really got much better last year. He had such a great season. I expect
Marcus
great things
Peters had a
from
really good season
this season.
too.
So did Marcus Peters as well.
Lots of interceptions.
Yes, lots of interceptions. They both did very good in that secondary at the cornerback position, helping out the Ravens a lot and getting that ball back to the offense. So they both did so much. I expect some great things from them. Maybe Marcus Peters is in a bit of decline in his career, but I think he's still got a lot left, if you ask me. So those are guys that have done really good. We'll see what happens with the Earl Thomas situation. We'll see if he gets onto the field. But when he was out there, and really whenever he was out there throughout his whole career, he's been a great safety. So hopefully for them, they'll be able to get him back despite all the things that are going on right now. If not, they could put Geno Stone out there because that's someone that I really like. But I don't know if their 7th round pick is going to be starting right away.
Yeah,
probably more of a
picks usually just try and make the team first.
Yeah,
and take it from
more
there.
of a special teams type of guy. And speaking of, last thing I want to talk about before we get to the record predictions, they have one of the better special teams in the league with Sam Cook as their punter and Justin Kicker, probably the best kicker in the NFL right now.
You say Justin Kicker?
Justin Tucker.
Yeah.
Justin
Hey,
Kicker.
I caught that, but I didn't want to say
Justin
anything.
Tucker, probably the best kicker in the NFL right now. That should be his nickname, though, Justin Kicker.
No.
Just throw that out there.
No.
So
Anyone
for
who
the
could
brand,
have
I just
kicker
want to
in his
mention
name
for the
is
brand.
Dicker the kicker.
We still got a while until he reaches the NFL. But
Yeah.
anyways, I just wanted to shout out all 3 units of it because they're very solid at all 3 units. So let's start with the record predictions. And Jordan, let's start off with you. They went 14-2 last year, so keep that in mind as we finish this last part of the video.
Okay, well, I think that the division that they are in is definitely has gotten better. Ryan said at the beginning of the video how that division is slowly improving. The teams around them, like the Steelers getting Ben Roethlisberger back, Bengals getting Joe Burrow, all those things going on in that division, and hopefully the Browns can put it all together, at least for their sake. So that division is heating up a bit as well. The Ravens won that division last year, and pretty easily, I would say. So I think with them playing each of those teams 2 times in the season, it might be a bit harder to get more wins, but I think they're still a very solid team. I'm not going to go as high as, 14-2,
Yep.
but I'll say they go 11-5, and we'll probably make another video later on, maybe updating our projections on stuff like this, but without looking at anything right now, if I was just looking at the team and their schedule, I think they have some tough games on there.
We're still a long way from the season, so
that's true.
This is not his official record prediction as of you and Ryan too.
So I'd say they go 11-5, maybe 12-4, but I'm just going to go 11-5 because I can do that.
Okay, Ryan.
Yeah, and again, it's still very early in this whole process. Marching toward the season, there's still a lot of uncertainty and stuff. So again, take this with a grain of salt. But I've said a lot of things throughout this video. I think that the AFC North around Baltimore, as Jordan said, is really getting better. I hope the Browns make the playoffs because honestly, there's no reason for them not to at this point, in my opinion. On paper, they're a playoff team. So if they don't make the playoffs this year, then I just really don't know. Bengals will be better. Pittsburgh will be better. And, they got to go through some tough games. Looking at their schedule, I got it right in front of me. Got to play that division. As I said, they have some tough games. They play at the Colts, at the Eagles, at the Texans. They play the Chiefs early. And, all right, I'm just going to say it. 8-8.
Whoa.
8-8.
Okay.
Yes.
Jordan is leaving. See you, Jordan.
Go ahead.
All right, Jordan. We'll see
You
you
want me to
later.
lie? I mean, look. I'm gonna. You want me to explain? I'll explain. But I think I've hit on a lot of points. And I've said it. I'm lower on Baltimore than most.
I think you've said enough.
Yeah. If they go 16-0 and prove me wrong, kudos to them. But I'm just saying what I foresee happening.
Okay.
I found a lot of stuff wrong. I said the Redskins were going to win the division last year. So
yeah, I mean it's still early, but I do want to bring Jordan back to this table by saying I don't have them going 8-8, and I'm actually with Jordan. I think 11-5 or 12-4 is right where I would put them. I'd probably say 11-5. I do see a decline just because 11 possibly. I do see a decline with the whole Lamar Jackson thing. I think teams are going to be able to find a way to stop him a little bit more in his second year. It's not going to be as much so to go 8-8. But this roster is too stacked to go 8-8. I just don't see what you're talking about there, Ryan.
Yeah, I've said enough, so maybe we'll touch on Baltimore in another video down the road. But,
yeah, let's just wrap.
This isn't going to go on for another hour
before we
keep this going.
get
So
into
Tyler, you should probably wrap it up soon.
Yeah, Jordan's still shocked at the left side of the table.
Yeah.
But he looks a little bit less shocked now.
What did you think I was going to say? No, honestly, though. What did you
Better
think?
Better than 8-8. I thought you might
I
have
thought he was going that low, to be honest with you, and I had that plan to walk off and whatever he said anyway. He's just going to be honest. I thought it would be fun, and it was fun.
It was
and I got
fun.
to stand up on my chair, too.
Wish I could have been there.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
You can watch it back, and you can see him walk away.
I will do that.
And you want to watch you stand on my chair, too. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, that'll be a meme. Jordan, me, says Raven going 8-8. Jordan, I'm ahead out.
Oh, speaking of memes, we have a meme Instagram right now. It's called Touchdown Table Memes. Right?
That's right.
It's at Touchdown Table Memes, no spaces. So follow our Touchdown Table Instagram and also the meme account as we'll make football memes as well. So we're hoping to get that built as well, get a bit more active on social media. That's just something we want to do and get out to our fans out there. So, yeah, go follow that, both of them, if you haven't already.
Yeah, and Jordan already started the outro, and I love what he just said, so make sure to do that. Also, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell, comment down below if you think Ryan's crazy, which you probably would do that, so comment that down below. We'd love to see it. Anything else about the Ravens? And with that, we'll see you guys later.
See ya.
See ya.